Hello, welcome to Lego Source. I'm Dan, your host, and Mayor of Eldorado. Check this out. Today, I'm capturing the first full snapshot of the city. There's still a lot to do, but it was definitely time for a tour. And here's the layout. There are 25 different areas or precincts. The idea was to have somewhere to have all my Lego out. So after trying to make it all fit, this is what I ended up with. We'll have a closer look at each of these. Later in the video, I'll take you through the train system, including the lines, stations, and depots. The walkways are 2 base plates wide, and most of the city is less than 4 base plates distance from a walkway. More about the studio build in another video. Let's do a big reveal. And that's it. Actually, it's not too easy to get the whole city in one shot, but you get the idea. Eldorado is a typical modern coastal town. Let's take a look at the city, or the downtown precinct. Here I've really tried to create a city block feel. Lego modular sets are spectacular. Obviously I need a lot more of them. Because these are so big, I've set them back from the main walkway or the front of the city, and even meters away they just look brilliant. The downtown area is pretty much the center of the city, nice and close to the airport and everything else that the city has to offer. Somehow I've ended up with 3 of the Palace Cinema sets. So my idea is to put these together into some sort of a skyscraper later. There is a modular set in particular that I don't have, and I really want it. It's the original Town Hall set 10244. I do have a smaller Town Hall from a city set, and you can see that there behind the corner garage. Before too long, I'll have that modified, and then this Town Hall will fit right in next to these amazing modulars. I've collected a few superhero buildings now. Sanctum, the Arkham Asylum, and the Daily Bugle, plus a couple of other little things. Sorry if that scared anybody. The sound effects are too much fun, I couldn't help myself. These guys love hanging out in the city, but this area is prime real estate and is set to change. One idea is to incorporate this Wayne terminus into an underground railway, which would give me a subway between downtown and the airport. We'll just have to wait and see. To the harbour now, and the port. So we'll come to the marina soon. This area is really reserved for industry, transporting freight and that sort of thing. Here we have 2 long piers. Each one has a railway line and access to water on both sides, so there's lots of room for large vessels to park. My large marine research vessel will park here soon, and somewhere in here I'll add my Coast Guard headquarters, which will house all of my Coast Guard vehicles and craft. Which takes us to the theme park. So this is right behind the port. Actually, I'm working on the theme park downstairs, so all of those sets are down on another table, but I can show you the plan. The Disney train station looks great as a theme park entrance, so I've based the Disney train here. This little patch of Lego nature you see here is actually part of a Lego facade to hide a wooden hill. I won't say too much more right now because in another video you can see how I've made this hill, and you'll see some great shots of the theme park too. I am Lego obsessed, but I've never been so bad that I would start naming my streets. Until now. This is Park Street, and this is where all of the emergency services in Eldorado are based. When you collect Lego, you collect a lot of fire trucks and police cars. So I decided to create an emergency services precinct that would house all of my police and fire vehicles. Already here you can see an early attempt at the hospital, which is currently using 2 of the recent hospital sets and 1 older hospital set. Soon I'll rebuild each of these stations using a lot of pieces I've set aside, including 2 old fire station sets and 3 old police station sets. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this area. This precinct is prominently placed but out of the way. I don't have to look at them all the time because they'll be tucked nicely behind the theme park hill, just like the parkland. Here I wanted to add some trees and vegetation to break up the city buildings and make sure everything looks really nice from what I call the front of the city, the view from the main walkway, just over there. And from that angle, this parkland is actually on the far side of Theme Park Hill. Some tall trees popping up over the top of that hill should look really nice whenever I'm taking shots from the main walkway. The big plan for this area is a skate park, and the big possibility on the horizon for this area is an elevated freeway, but I'll talk about that much later. Now we know how Park Street got its name, let's go and check out the marina. For now, the old Marina Paradise Cafe set is sitting there, and I have some watercraft parked there. I haven't landscaped this in properly yet. I have been waiting for the beach landscaping and for the Coast Guard headquarters to take shape, but I don't think I can wait, so I'll probably get to the marina pretty soon. Here's the beach. This is an area that's had some work done and starting to look pretty cool already. At one end is the marina, and at the other end, as we move past a couple of cool looking beach houses, the Friends Beach amusement set blends really nicely into the natural areas just behind there. I like having these coastal areas across the front. They often make a nice foreground. These open natural spaces, they're nice and low, easy to see over to the rest of the city. This beach is really inviting. I do find myself getting sidetracked there quite a bit. Inland from the beach, we see a rail line with the beginnings of a road and a couple of shops. I figure there would be some sort of a thoroughfare between the suburban train station and the beach amusement park, so people will have an ice cream shop and a couple of other options too. And now to my suburb. Every city needs a suburb, and so far mine is, well, it's more of an idea of a suburb really. My concept for this area is to have a town centre that will provide shops, a train station and a school for all of my suburban residents. And of course, my suburb is close to the beach. Don't look too closely at the houses. You might notice they're just sitting on a piece of wood for now. With some landscaping, these houses will be on the side of a hill, which hopefully will block any view of the walkways and will give each house ocean views. I'm pretty happy to have an area just for pirates, although I don't have too much pirate Lego. I've got the Creator pirate ship and the El Dorado fort, great set. These two sides are happy to conduct their battles far away from my modern population. And here we see beyond the lighthouse, they begrudgingly share a secret cove leading onto the ocean. Here I've really just reserved a spot where I can keep a few Ocean Explorer sets which are waiting for me to build. Here you can see a few log cabins waiting for a lake, and soon a couple of these will be modified so they fit really nicely around that lake next to that A-frame house. Also waiting for me to build a number of farming sets. This will be a small distant farming community with its own train station and should provide a nice open green space between the forest and the rail yard. Beyond the farming area, I've reserved a spot for sets that don't necessarily belong anywhere else, like the Magic Mountain here, great set, and of course Winnie the Pooh and his friends. So I call this area the Fantasy or Wilds. This area will give me the chance to bring some really cool Lego sets into the reality of my city, and I think it's a great spot to base some wildlife rescue. I really like these wildlife rescue sets. They come with a lot of cool animal elements, and basically they're my starting point to landscape a really cool forest area around here. Wow, that's pretty exciting. Let's go to the medieval section then. Here you can see the Creator Castle set 31120. Actually, one of the alternate builds, the tall tower there, I decided I needed, so I bought it again to create the alternate build. As a warning, if you ever do that, be aware you need to open all your bags of Lego at the same time. The instructions for an alternate build don't go one bag at a time and it can get a little hectic. Of course, the main reason I needed to do this was so that the castle would sit well next to the amazing castle set, which is the recent re-release of a retro set. This is the Icon set 10305 and I'm just in love with it. So that's why it's taken prime position in a far corner. And of course that's on the horizon for a great deal of my shots. The medieval blacksmith there is really just the beginning of a medieval town square. I will be hunting for that set pretty soon. This town square, I figure, will be like a sort of common boundary between these two medieval civilizations. My mining Lego collection has really started with two different sets, and you might recognize these. Each use different track elements. With these two sets, I've added a large tipper along with some other vehicles and a long coal train based originally on the Red Cargo set 3677. Eldoradan gradually slopes upward as you go inland away from the coast. I will have the opportunity to set these down below ground level. How do I put this? I love Lego trains. Basically all the other Lego you see here, it's all just here to make my trains look better. This is the main rail yard which houses all of my passenger trains. And just quickly here I wanted to show you just how difficult it was to run 3 trains at once. Eventually I decided I needed 3 separate train lines. The country line with 3 stops at the junction, the beach and a planned country station. The city line, which stops at the junction, Hogsmeade and a planned airport station. We'll talk about that some more very soon. And the coastline, which stops at the beach, the theme park and the planned airport station too. After adding a few switch tracks, I'm able to run a full loop right around the city, but I'm not calling this a 4th line just yet, because this loop actually uses sections of all 3 lines. My big idea for a 4th line is to have my very own proper speed train line. I won't say too much more about it right now, but research and testing has already started for what I'm hoping will be a very, very fast Lego train. For now, with this setup, every rail element is connected and every train has a place. And my big goal is accomplished. I can run 3 trains at the same time. I'm really happy with how the rail yard feeds straight into Junction Station, and I love that 2 lines use the bridge over the harbour. Although, this really is just an early settlers build. This bridge will be getting an upgrade. Mostly though, I'm just really happy to have this huge amazing space where all my trains can be permanently set up and ready to run. You can probably already tell, I like to extend these passenger trains to make them appear more realistic. Each yellow train here uses 2 of the set 60197, so you can see there are 4 sets assembled here. I do have another 2 waiting for me. I just haven't decided whether I'm building them or not. I have the second green train set 60337 ready to complete the green passenger train. The white speed train 60051 and the red passenger train 7938 each have an extra passenger car. They look a little better than the original sets with just the 1 middle car, but they still don't really look long enough to be realistic for me, so I will probably be extending these 2. Unfortunately, I haven't come across a second Horizon Express, the orange train, and they are getting a little pricey now, so it may remain half a train. You can see I'm not running any powered up app or electrified switch tracks as yet. It really is just a grassroots setup at the moment where every train has its own remote. Obviously that's a little hectic and it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time before I start dabbling with some of that really cool stuff. So I'm curious to see how this train network grows, but mostly right now, I just can't wait to add the Orient Express to this collection. So apparently Eldoradan will have a Chinatown. I had noticed that I'm collecting a few Chinese Lego sets, and actually there are a few more I've got my eye on, so I figured why not put all these together into some sort of a little alleyway at least, and call it a Chinatown. I have hopes for the Chinatown to help me blend the city into the suburb a little bit, so I think Chinatown itself will be right by the main railway crossing and nestled right up beside the central junction station. This planned junction station that I keep referring to, which doesn't exist yet, is actually based on 2 of the older train station sets 7937. As we move from here towards the suburb, we see an area where I have plans for a shopping precinct. I don't know exactly how this is going to look yet. I do have 2 separate supermarket sets, so I'll see if I can come up with some sort of a shopping mall here on the waterfront. Which brings us to the opposite far corner now and my Harry Potter collection. I'll start with a confession, I'm not much of a Harry Potter fan. In fact, my brother and sister-in-law have to explain sets to me. Mind you, when they do, it blows my mind even more. These sets are brilliant. But the main reason I started collecting these is because I just liked the architecture. So you can see here the clock tower, the astronomy tower, and the first Great Hall, which I think look quite nice over here in the distance on the horizon. For now, you can see I have 2 of the King's Cross stations assembled. Soon I'll be moving this King's Cross platform over to the Central Junction station to be a part of that. So for this area, I'm going to mock up a station that might be a good substitute for Hogsmeade Station. Now, I am aware this racing track is not really brag-worthy just yet, or as I like to say it, there's a lot of potential here. I do have quite a collection of Speed Champions vehicles, and what better place to store them than a racetrack? As I complete landscaping in different areas, I'm finding that road plates are becoming available again. So once I have enough road plate to do a proper racetrack, I think we'll see something grow back here, which would be fantastic for me to start displaying those really cool Speed Champion cars. Now, speaking of precincts with potential, I think this space section wins the prize. Really, nothing's happened here yet. I have reserved the spot. Actually, I'm quite proud of this Crater base plate. So there are a few space sets there that need a home, and you'll see all that pretty soon. So having an airport in a LEGO city takes up a lot of room. Ultimately, what I'd like to achieve is to have an airport that looks right and doesn't take up too much space. Unfortunately, the spot I've reserved for an airport is gradually shrinking as other areas around the airport start to grow. So hopefully I'm leaving enough room to do something decent. So far there, I have 2 city airport sets, and these are pretty minimal. Add to this a couple of extra planes and helicopters. I'll be adding an underground train station for the airport. My big maybe one day idea is a functioning airport, so stay tuned. And so that brings us right around to the freight rail depot. So the freight depot is on the opposite side of the downtown area to the passenger rail yard, and I've used the freight area as a sort of barrier between the airport and the city itself. This is where I store all of my freight trains and carriages, plus most of my trucks for the moment, because I haven't really sorted out a proper truck stop. Before I bother with that too much though, I'm going to get this freight depot right, and that will involve getting these 2 cranes operating properly and having a good level crossing for trucks to be able to maneuver well. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.